Solitude builds strength, but in a world that never stops talking, that never stops scrolling, that never stops comparing, it feels almost impossible to sit with ourselves. We constantly chase company through people, through phones, through distractions. The idea of being alone makes most of us uncomfortable, even afraid. But let me tell you something. Some of the strongest roots of your character, your discipline, and your vision are formed when nobody is watching, when nobody is clapping, and when nobody is there to hold your hand. Think about it. Every great achievement, every powerful transformation begins in solitude. A seed doesn't grow in sunlight alone, it first grows in darkness. The roots dig deep before the tree touches the sky. Likewise, before your success becomes visible to the world, your strength is built quietly in the moments when you're alone. Let's take a simple daily life example. Imagine a student preparing for exams. Friends may be out having fun, scrolling endlessly on social media, or wasting time complaining about how difficult things are. But that one student who sits down in silence, focuses, studies, and sacrifices entertainment for a few hours each day, that student builds a kind of inner muscle. No one applauds them while they study, no one cheers them on when they wake up early. Yet slowly, day by day, they build strength, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And when the results come, people say, "You're so lucky," but luck had nothing to do with it. It was solitude, quiet effort done when no one was watching. Solitude teaches discipline. When you are alone, there's no one to motivate you, no one to remind you what needs to be done. You learn to rely on yourself, and that's where true strength begins. Most people depend on external motivation, a friend, a coach, a video, or applause. But what happens when those things are gone? That's when solitude becomes your best teacher. It teaches you to keep going without anyone pushing you. It teaches you consistency. It teaches you resilience. Let's look at another example, physical fitness. A person decides to lose weight or get healthier. The first few days, friends might join, motivation is high, energy is strong. But soon people drop out. The gym partner stops coming. The diet buddy gives up. And you're left alone on that treadmill. That moment is the test. If you stop because you're alone, you were never serious. But if you keep going even when it's lonely, you start discovering your real strength. Because true strength isn't built in the presence of others, it's built in their absence. Even in our careers, the same principle applies. Think of a small business owner who starts with nothing. There are no investors, no employees, maybe not even support from family. They're working late nights, facing rejection after rejection. There's no applause, only silence, only effort. And in that solitude, they grow stronger. They learn to trust their vision, to believe in themselves even when nobody else does. Then, years later, when the business succeeds, everyone wants to be part of it. But the foundation, that unshakable strength, was built in silence alone. There's also a spiritual side to solitude. When you are constantly surrounded by noise, you lose the connection with yourself. You start living for others' opinions, others' approval. But when you sit alone, no phone, no music, no people, and just listen, you start hearing the most important voice in your life, your own. You start asking real questions. Who am I? What do I want? What truly makes me happy? Solitude gives you clarity. It helps you see life not through the lens of comparison, but through the eyes of contentment. Let's take an everyday example of a working parent. Between job, children, and responsibilities, they rarely get time for themselves. But even 10 minutes of solitude, maybe in the early morning, sitting with a cup of tea before the day begins, can bring calmness and strength. That little moment of stillness helps them recharge, reflect, and return to their duties with a peaceful mind. That's the quiet power of solitude. It renews your spirit without making noise about it. We live in a culture that glorifies business. We think the more people we're around, the more successful we are. But the truth is, being constantly surrounded by noise drains your energy and weakens your focus. Solitude is not about cutting people off. It's about connecting deeper with yourself so that when you do interact with others, you bring your best self forward. Many great thinkers, leaders, and innovators have understood this. Mahatma Gandhi often spent time in silence. Steve Jobs would take long, solitary walks to think deeply. Even Lord Buddha found enlightenment not in crowds, but in meditation under a tree, alone. Their solitude wasn't loneliness, it was empowerment. And you can experience the same in your daily life. Take a walk without your phone, sit quietly for 5 minutes, reflect on your day. These small acts of solitude are not escapes, they are exercises in strength. You'll notice how your thoughts settle, how your focus sharpens, how your peace deepens. Slowly, you'll realize that you don't always need company to feel complete. You need connection with yourself. Solitude builds confidence because when you spend time alone, you stop seeking validation from others. You learn to trust your instincts. You stop asking, "What will people think?" and start asking, "What do I think?" That shift is powerful. It makes you independent in your emotions, your decisions, and your path. So, the next time you find yourself alone, don't rush to fill that silence. Don't see it as emptiness. See it as energy. In those quiet hours, your heart speaks the loudest, your dreams take shape, and your true strength begins to grow. Because solitude is not a weakness. It's your private training ground. It's where your character is forged, and your clarity is found, and your courage is born. And when the world finally sees your success, they'll see the flower, but you'll know it was the unseen roots that made it possible. Those roots were built when you were walking alone, in silence, in solitude, becoming stronger every single day. Better alone in the right direction than wrong with the crowd. These words hold a wisdom that can change the course of a person's life if understood deeply. You see, most people in this world are afraid of being different. They fear standing out. They fear the judgment that comes when they choose a path not taken by many. But the truth is, success, peace, and purpose are rarely found in the middle of the crowd. They are found when you have the courage to walk your own path, even if that means walking alone. From childhood, we are taught to fit in, to do what others do, to think how others think, to move in the same direction as the majority. But if you look closely, the crowd is not always right. The crowd follows trends, not truth. It follows comfort, not courage. And if you keep walking with the crowd, you may find that you're running fast, but in the wrong direction. What's the use of walking with 10,000 people if they're all heading towards a cliff? Sometimes, one step in the right direction alone is far better than 1,000 steps with the wrong company. Let's take a simple example from daily life. Imagine a student in high school. All their friends decide that studying isn't cool. They skip classes, spend hours on their phones, and waste their evenings gossiping or watching random videos. Now, that one student who decides to stay disciplined, to focus on their studies, to dream bigger, suddenly becomes the odd one out. Their friends laugh at them. They say, "Relax! Why are you taking life so seriously?" It's tempting to join them because being different feels lonely. But that student who dares to walk alone, to follow their own direction, ends up shaping their future. And years later, the same friends who mock them might say, "You're so lucky," but that luck was simply the courage to walk alone in the right direction. Life often gives us such crossroads, moments when you must choose between what is popular and what is right. It could be at work, where everyone cuts corners, cheats a little, or plays politics to get ahead. And there you are, choosing honesty. It may seem like you're being left behind. But remember, shortcuts may seem fast, but they don't last. Walking alone with integrity may feel slow, but it builds a foundation that never collapses. Because what is success worth if you lose your peace in the process? Let's think of a young entrepreneur. Everyone around says, "Be practical, don't take risks, get a job." But their heart burns with an idea. They see something others don't. If they follow the crowd, they will live safely, but not fully. If they walk alone, they will face fear, failure, and criticism, but they will grow. Every great innovation, every great business, every great change began because someone refused to follow the crowd. They trusted their vision when no one else did. Take the example of someone like J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter. She was rejected by multiple publishers. If she had listened to the crowd who said, "It's too hard, give up," the world would never have known her books. The Wright brothers were told, "Man will never fly," yet they walked alone with their dream and proved the world wrong. History remembers those who had the courage to follow their inner compass, not those who just blended in. Even in spiritual or personal growth, the same truth applies. Everyone wants to appear busy, successful, and connected, but very few pause to ask, "Am I truly happy?" The crowd may chase material wealth, status, or validation, but deep inside, your soul may long for peace, meaning, or simplicity. Following your soul's direction may not make you popular, but it will make you fulfilled. Sometimes walking alone means saying no to things that don't serve your growth, saying no to gossip, to negativity, to bad habits, to people who drain your energy. That no may cost you company, but it will give you clarity. It's not easy to walk away from the crowd, especially when that crowd includes people you care about. But if staying with them means losing yourself, then walking alone is not loneliness, it's liberation. Let's bring it to an ordinary, relatable example. Imagine someone trying to quit smoking or drinking. Their friends may say, "Come on, one drink won't hurt. Don't be boring." In that moment, they face a choice to please others or to protect themselves. Walking away may make them look strange for a while, but that single decision, that courage to walk alone in the right direction, can save their health, their relationships, and even their life. And one day the same friends might come to them for help, saying, "I wish I had your strength." You see, the crowd gives you comfort, but it rarely gives you growth. Growth requires courage, and courage often requires solitude. The crowd's path is easy because it's paved with approval. The lone path is hard because it's paved with tests. But every test strengthens you. Every lonely step deepens your wisdom. Every rejection builds your resilience. The world often measures success by how many people follow you, but real success is how confidently you can walk when no one follows you. The crowd can only see what's visible: your clothes, your money, your popularity. But your soul knows what's invisible: your peace, your integrity, your purpose. When you follow that, you may lose the crowd, but you'll find yourself. So if life ever makes you choose between being accepted or being authentic, choose authenticity. If you must walk alone to stay true, walk. The world may laugh now, but later they'll learn from your example. Remember, rivers carve mountains not by flowing with other rivers, but by flowing in their own direction. You don't need to be in the crowd to make an impact. You just need to be clear about your direction. Better to walk alone in the right direction than wrong with the crowd, because the crowd may keep you company today, but the right direction will take you to your destiny tomorrow. The crowd may make you feel safe, but it will never make you strong. Only when you trust your own steps, your own values, and your own path do you truly begin to live. So walk bravely, even if your footsteps echo in silence. Because one day, that silent road you walked will become the path that others follow, inspired by your courage to walk it first. Loneliness is not punishment, it's preparation. These few words carry a power that can change how we see our most difficult moments. We live in a world that fears loneliness. We think being alone means something is wrong with us, that we're unwanted, unloved, or forgotten. But what if loneliness isn't a curse? What if it's a gift? What if the very moments you feel most alone are actually shaping you, strengthening you, and preparing you for something greater than you can imagine right now? Think of how gold is purified. It doesn't become pure in comfort, it's placed in fire. That fire is not there to destroy it, but to refine it. Similarly, the loneliness you feel at times isn't there to break you, but to prepare you, to make you stronger, clearer, and more resilient. When life pulls you away from people, when friends drift apart, when love fades, or when you suddenly find yourself standing alone, don't see it as punishment. See it as the universe saying, "Now it's time to meet yourself." Many people are surrounded by noise, always busy, always in company, always distracted, but still feel empty inside. They can't be alone because they've never learned to enjoy their own presence. But when loneliness arrives, you have two choices. You can let it break you, or you can let it build you. You can use it to complain, or you can use it to grow. Let's take a very common example. Imagine someone who just went through a breakup. The relationship ends, and suddenly, the person who was your world is gone. The calls stop, the texts stop, the laughter fades. You feel a painful silence that seems unbearable. It feels like punishment. But if you look deeper, you'll realize this silence is your space to heal, to rediscover who you are, and to grow into someone stronger. It's in that quiet time alone that you learn self-worth, you learn patience, and you learn that happiness doesn't depend on someone else's presence, but on your own peace. When a butterfly is about to be born, it must struggle to get out of its cocoon. If someone tries to help by cutting it open, the butterfly will never fly because it's the struggle, the isolation, the effort that strengthens its wings. Her loneliness does the same for us. It gives us wings we didn't know we had. Without that phase of being alone, we wouldn't develop the strength needed for our next stage of life. Think about the greatest thinkers, artists, and leaders in history. They all went through long phases of solitude. Lord Buddha sat under the Bodhi tree alone. It wasn't punishment, it was preparation for enlightenment. Mahatma Gandhi spent time in silence to connect deeper with truth. Even scientists and creators often find their best ideas when they are away from the noise of the world. Their loneliness wasn't emptiness, it was creation space. Let's take an example from modern life. Imagine someone starting a small business. In the beginning, no one believes in their idea. Friends may laugh, family may doubt, and investors may say no. The entrepreneur feels lonely, carrying a dream no one else can see. It hurts, but that loneliness becomes their training ground. It teaches them discipline, focus, and inner strength. That isolation is not punishment, it's preparation for success. Even in personal growth, loneliness plays a vital role. When you are alone, you start hearing your thoughts clearly. You begin to see what habits are helping you and which ones are holding you back. You reflect, you heal, you reset. These moments of solitude often lead to breakthroughs, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. But most people run from loneliness by filling the silence with distractions, endless scrolling, mindless conversations, or constant entertainment. Yet all those things only delay the transformation that loneliness is trying to bring. Sometimes, God or the universe takes certain people out of your life not to punish you, but to protect you. You may not see it immediately, but often the absence of people is what gives you the space to become who you're meant to be. A flower doesn't bloom in a crowded garden. It blooms in its own season, quietly, often away from attention. In the same way, your growth will happen in private before the world sees the results. A powerful example can be seen in athletes. When the stadium lights are off and no one is cheering, that's when the real work happens. Alone in the gym, alone on the field, alone in the early morning when everyone else is asleep. The world only sees the victory, but the preparation always happens in solitude. The same applies to life. Loneliness is where your preparation for greatness begins. It also helps you build emotional independence. When you can be comfortable alone, you stop depending on others for happiness. You stop chasing people's attention or approval. You start realizing that peace is an inside job. Then, when you do form relationships or friendships, they come from love, not loneliness, from choice, not need. That's the strength loneliness teaches you. Think of a tree standing in the middle of a field. It faces storms, winds, and harsh sunlight, all alone. But every challenge makes its roots go deeper. That's why it stands tall and unshakable. In the same way, loneliness digs your roots deeper into your character, your purpose, and your faith. It teaches you patience. It teaches you to depend on your inner power rather than outer company. When you're going through a lonely phase, remind yourself this is not the end, it's the foundation. Just as a builder clears the land before creating a beautiful home, life sometimes clears your surroundings before building your next chapter. You may not understand it now, but one day you'll look back and realize that your greatest transformation happened when you were alone. So don't fear loneliness. Sit with it, talk to it, learn from it. Because it's not your enemy, it's your coach. It's preparing you to handle the blessings, opportunities, and relationships that will come later. When you can walk alone with peace, you become unstoppable with others. Loneliness is not punishment, it's preparation, a quiet classroom where your soul learns lessons that crowds can never teach. It's the place where your weakness turns into wisdom and your silence becomes strength. One day, when your time comes to shine, you'll realize that every lonely night was simply preparing you for a brighter dawn. Deep roots grow in hidden seasons. These words describe one of the most beautiful and powerful truths of life, that real growth does not always happen in the light of success or applause. It happens quietly in moments no one sees. We live in an age where everything is measured by visibility, how many likes, followers, awards, or achievements we have. But the most important parts of your journey, the parts that make you strong, wise, and unshakable, grow in silence, far away from attention, in the hidden seasons of your life. Think about nature. When you look at a tall, strong tree, what you see is only the result. You see the branches, the leaves, the shade, and the beauty. But what you don't see are the roots, deep underground, silently spreading, holding the tree firm through every storm. The strength of that tree doesn't come from what's visible, it comes from what's invisible. And that's exactly how your life works too. Your visible success is built on invisible preparation. The world will one day admire your branches, but your real power comes from your roots. The strength you built when no one was watching. Every person goes through hidden seasons, those quiet, difficult times when it feels like nothing is moving, nothing is changing, and no one notices your effort. Maybe you're working hard at your job and no one appreciates it. Maybe you're studying while others are partying and it feels like you're being left behind. Maybe you're trying to heal from heartbreak or loss and the world has already moved on. It's in these hidden seasons that your roots are growing. You may not see it, but the universe is preparing you for something bigger. Let's take a simple example. A student preparing for exams or learning a new skill. Every night they stay up late, reading, revising, struggling. No one sees the sleepless nights, the effort, the doubt, the quiet tears. But all that unseen effort is building knowledge, discipline, and character. When the results come, the world sees the success, the grades, the achievement, but that's just the fruit. The real work was in the unseen roots. Or think about an athlete. We see them on the screen winning medals, smiling on the podium, receiving applause. But we don't see the early mornings, the lonely practice sessions, the pain, the discipline, the sacrifices. Those were their hidden seasons when no one was cheering, but they kept going. And that's what gave them the strength to stand strong when the moment of success finally arrived. In your own life, there might be times when you feel forgotten, like you're putting in effort and getting nothing in return. But understand this, just because your growth isn't visible doesn't mean it isn't happening. The roots of success grow slowly, silently, and deeply. The deeper the roots, the taller the tree can rise. If your growth feels slow, it's only because you're being built for something lasting. Fast growth is flashy but fragile. Deep growth is quiet but unbreakable. Even in relationships or emotional healing, the same truth applies. After pain or disappointment, you may go through a period of silence where you just need time to be alone, to reflect, and to rebuild. People may think you've changed or that you've become distant. But inside, your roots are growing stronger. You're learning what truly matters, what kind of love you deserve, and how to protect your peace. This is your hidden season, a time when you grow not in visibility, but in maturity. There's a famous story about the bamboo tree. When you plant a bamboo seed, for the first few years, nothing seems to happen. You water it, nurture it, and wait. But there's no sign of growth above the ground. Many people would give up, thinking the seed was dead. But in reality, during those years, the bamboo is growing its roots deep underground, preparing to rise strong, and then suddenly, in one season, it shoots up more than 80 feet high. That's not magic, that's preparation. Its hidden season was necessary for its visible success. Life works exactly the same way. Your hidden seasons are your preparation phase. You might be working on your dreams while others sleep. You might be building your future while others waste time. You might be fighting silent battles that no one even knows about, but every moment of that silent struggle is watering your roots. And when the time is right, your growth will surprise everyone, even you. Let's take a real life example. Imagine someone who loses their job. At first, it feels devastating, their confidence drops, and life feels uncertain. But instead of giving up, they use that time to learn new skills, reflect, and work quietly on themselves. They read, train, and develop a better version of who they are. Months later, a new opportunity arrives, better than they imagined. Now everyone sees their comeback, but only they know the depth of the work that happened in their hidden season. Deep roots don't just make you successful, they make you stable. Because success without strength can collapse under pressure. When you build your roots in silence, in patience, discipline, and humility, no storm can uproot you. The applause of the world can lift you, but only your roots can hold you. Many people want quick results. They want to shine before they're strong. But anything that grows too fast also breaks too fast. Look at social media fame. It rises overnight and fades just as quickly. But those who build slowly, steadily, and deeply remain unshaken because their roots, their values, their experience, their character hold them steady no matter how strong the wind blows. So, if you are in a phase of life where nothing seems to be happening, don't lose heart. That silence isn't wasted time, it's sacred time. It's your hidden season. You are being trained, refined, and strengthened beneath the surface. Trust the process. The roots you're growing today will one day hold the weight of your success tomorrow. Remember, deep roots grow in hidden seasons, not in noise, not in crowds, but in stillness. And when your time comes, when your branches finally rise high for the world to see, you'll know that your real strength didn't come from the sunlight of attention, but from the silent soil that no one ever saw. True success begins with inner clarity, not outer company. These words hold a deep truth that most people spend their entire lives trying to understand. We live in a world where everyone is rushing, comparing, competing, and constantly trying to prove themselves. People think success is about having more followers, more wealth, more recognition, or more applause. But the truth is, success has nothing to do with how many people are around you. It has everything to do with how well you understand yourself. You can be surrounded by hundreds of people and still feel lost. But if you are clear from within, clear about who you are, what you stand for, and what you truly want, you are already successful. Inner clarity is like a compass. Without it, you might be moving fast, but in the wrong direction. You can have the best car, the best team, and the best map, but if your compass is off, you'll end up lost. That's why so many people work hard, achieve so much, and still feel empty. They chased goals that didn't belong to them. They followed dreams that were borrowed from society. And in the end, they realized they were climbing a ladder that was leaning against the wrong wall. True success is not about how high you climb, but about whether you are climbing the right mountain. And that's something you can only discover when you are still enough to listen to your inner voice. Inner clarity comes from solitude, reflection, and honesty, from asking yourself the hard questions. Who am I really? What do I value most? What kind of life do I want to live? Let's take a very relatable example. Imagine a young professional working in a corporate office. They are earning well, meeting targets, and living what looks like a successful life. But every night, they feel restless. They keep thinking, is this all there is? Am I really happy? On the outside, they have everything, but on the inside, they are lost. One day, they decide to take a break, to spend time alone, to reflect. During those quiet moments, away from the noise of deadlines and opinions, they realize their true passion lies in something else, maybe teaching, writing, creating, or helping others. That realization doesn't come from outer company, it comes from inner clarity. And when they follow that calling, life begins to feel meaningful again. Outer company can motivate you, but it can also mislead you. People will always have opinions about what you should do, what success means, and what happiness looks like. But only you can define your truth. Without inner clarity, you become a prisoner of other people's expectations. You live to impress rather than to express. You chase what others admire instead of what your heart desires. But when you're clear from within, your decisions become powerful, your actions become peaceful, and your success becomes personal. Think of an archer aiming at a target. If their vision is blurred, no matter how powerful the bow or how perfect the arrow, they will miss the mark. But if the archer's eyes are focused, even a simple bow can hit the target. Life works the same way. Inner clarity is your vision. Without it, effort is wasted. With it, everything aligns. There's a story of a fisherman that beautifully illustrates this. A rich businessman once saw a fisherman sitting peacefully by the sea. The businessman asked, "Why are you sitting idle? You should be catching more fish." The fisherman smiled and said, "I've caught enough for today." The businessman replied, "If you catch more, You can buy a bigger boat, catch even more fish, and become rich. The fisherman asked, "Then what?" The businessman said, "Then you can retire and sit peacefully by the sea." The fisherman laughed and said, "That's exactly what I'm doing right now." You see, the fisherman already had inner clarity. He knew what mattered most to him: peace, simplicity, and contentment. The businessman had outer success, but not inner clarity. Many of us live like that businessman, constantly chasing more, thinking happiness lies in the next achievement. But real success isn't in the next thing, it's in the right thing. And the right thing comes only when you're clear within. Let's take another example. A student might choose a career just because their friends are choosing it, or because society says it's respectable. But after a few years, they realize they're unhappy and unfulfilled. That's what happens when you live by outer company. But another student might take time to explore, to reflect, to understand what truly inspires them, even if it's unconventional. That student might face loneliness or doubt initially, but they'll eventually find deep satisfaction because they followed clarity, not crowd. Even in relationships, inner clarity is essential. Many people enter relationships because they feel incomplete or lonely. They expect another person to fill their emptiness. But that never works because no one can complete you except you. When you have inner clarity, when you know your values, boundaries, and purpose, you attract relationships that align with your soul, not just your loneliness. You stop settling for company and start seeking connection. Inner clarity also gives you peace in failure. When you know who you are and why you're doing something, even setbacks can't shake you. You see them as part of the journey, not as an end. But when you're unclear, every obstacle feels like the end of the world. That's why people with inner clarity stay calm amid chaos. Because their strength doesn't come from outside approval, it comes from inner alignment. Look at nature again. The sun doesn't compare its shine to the moon. The river doesn't rush because another river flows faster. They simply follow their path with clarity, and in doing so, they fulfill their purpose beautifully. You are no different. You are meant to walk your path with clarity, not comparison. So take time for silence. Disconnect from the crowd for a while. Sit with yourself and ask, what truly matters to me? What kind of life feels peaceful, not just successful? Because when your inside is clear, your outside begins to align automatically. True success doesn't come from having 1,000 voices cheering for you. It comes from having one voice within that says, I am on the right path. When that voice is clear, even if you walk alone, you walk with confidence. And when you have that clarity, no matter what the world says, you'll never lose your direction, because your success begins not with company, but with clarity.